It's actually disingenuous, if that makes sense. This is not a trans issue. This is an issue that has to do with male and female spaces and why keeping sports fair. It's called sportsmanship, and why we have men and women's divisions. And you can just see them slaughtering the women.
The issue of transanity continues to impact women worldwide, with the latest incident unfolding at the Olympic Games, where two male boxers competed against biological women. Both Iman Khalif of Algeria and Lin Yuting of Taiwan failed the gender eligibility test for the 2023 Women's World Championship. Iman Khalif was disqualified just hours before the gold medal bout, and Lin Yuting was stripped of her bronze medal after the International Boxing Association determined they didn't meet the eligibility criteria, which exclude athletes with male XY chromosome from competing in women's event. It's just common sense, right? Yet, the woke International Olympic Committee has defended the decision to allow these two boxers to compete in the Paris 2024 Olympics, thereby putting women at risk.
That we have said from the very beginning. If somebody is presenting us scientifically a solid system how to identify men and women, we're the first ones to do it.
Women have fought for decades to secure equal rights and safe spaces, only to see those hard-won spaces invaded by individuals exploiting the transgender identity for personal gain. Men have more testosterone, greater bone density, and muscle mass, making them physically stronger than women. In combat sports, this disparity poses a serious danger to women, potentially leading to severe injuries or even death. Today I'm joined by Buck Angel, one of the first transgender individuals to speak out on this issue, which harms genuine trans people who suffer from gender dysphoria. Buck Angel, a biological woman who transitioned over 30 years ago to live as a man, has been a vocal critic of those who disingenuously invade women's spaces and sports.
Hi, my name is Buck Angel, and I'm a female who transitioned to live as a male. I did not change my sex. I'm still biologically female 32 years ago. And why I say guinea pig is because my actual doctor called me a guinea pig at the time. So I really want to clarify that I have not changed my sex. I am not a biological male. I'm a biological female who changed my appearance in order to walk the world. And I also changed my documents. They also reflect male, but that's so that I can walk the world as a male and be much more comfortable. I have gender dysphoria. I had a therapist who diagnosed me with gender dysphoria.
You have been pretty vocal during the last few days and weeks about what was happening at the Olympics game level. You were talking against Iman Khalif and the other
Yes.
boxer who pretend to be female, and I want to hear you about that.
Yeah, so let me clarify this. I really have nothing against those two people. I think really what's happening is they have a medical condition, and they were born with a DSD, which is a disorder of sexual development. And that being said, when that happens, you have ambiguous genitalia, or there's something going on with you. You're not just blatantly male or female, which you are male or female at birth. You're not assigned female or male. You are a female male. Now, people like them are assigned female male because their genitals tend to be ambiguous, or something inside of their chromosomes don't tend to be male or female. So Iman specifically was, and the other one, I think her name is Lin, some Taiwanese boxer, they were both born with a disorder of sexual development. So they were raised as females. they are not biologically chromosomal females. They both have XY chromosomes, which is a male chromosome. I have an XX. Appearance doesn't make you. My appearance makes me look like a man. So I could walk the world. Nobody would ever know my chromosomes are XX. I'm only being very open about it and very honest about who I am. That being said, those two are XY chromosomes. They failed the tests that the International Boxing Association gave them, and which means that they disqualified them to compete against XX. XX is female. You're an XX. And an XY cannot fight against each other. That's against the rules. That's why they have male and female categories. Now, that being said, I think it says a lot about those two because they have no integrity. And the integrity would say that they're like, you're right. It's not fair for us to fight again, even though we were raised as females. Just because you were raised as a female does not make you a female. So they actually were tested. And I have been reading a lot about it because people were like, well, how do you know that? I said, the International Boxing Association finally came out and said they were tested. They actually even put on the internet their actual tests that you can see, and they even acknowledged the tests. So if they didn't acknowledge them, I would have a different idea of what's going on here. But they literally acknowledged the test that said that they were XY chromosomes, which disqualified them. But the Olympic Committee doesn't go by chromosomes now. They go by passports. So my passport says male. So I could actually fight in the male space. It's actually disingenuous, if that makes sense. This is not a trans issue. This is an issue that has to do with male and female spaces and why keeping sports fair, it's called sportsmanship, and why we have men and women's divisions. And you can just see them slaughtering the women before. How come you don't see women like me, females like me, invading male spaces, right? Because men don't care about me. I'm not a threat. I grew up as a female. I'm 62, 30 years of my life I lived as a woman. I understand the road women have to walk and move. And you are in fear sometimes of being around male spaces and being around men. And, unless you are an actual female, you will never understand that. And trans women are not women. They're trans women. They're biological male. Okay, but this isn't really about trans. This is about chromosomes. And chromosomes matter. In life, they matter. And that's why they matter in this situation. And I find it very disingenuous of the Olympic Committee to back these two and to pretend as if this isn't, because not only that, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get very, very hurt, and that's going to be a woman. And then what? Does anybody care that a woman is going to get hurt from this? What if a woman gets killed? Because if you punch a woman hard enough in the face, you could possibly kill her. And is it going to take somebody to die over this situation? It's just ridiculous behavior.
And what do you think will happen to the female in the future if we are going into that path?
Well, forget women's sports, if that's the case, because I also believe these athletes are sought out. Okay, these athletes are sought out by the governments or by their boxing committees or whatever to look for people like this, because they do skirt the line and they're able to go in because they're women. And so I think what's going to happen is more and more of these types of people are going to be sought out. I'm sorry that you have that disorder. I really am. I feel for you. And I don't really like to see the hate that these two people are getting. I also don't think that that's fair because it's not their fault. But that being said, I also think that they're being disingenuous. And that's why people are starting to get mad about it. Because here's the number one thing, my friend. Cheek swab. If they took the cheek swab, they could determine Iman's biological gender like that, and it would be done. But Iman won't even take a cheek swab. So that says to me you're being disingenuous.
And you're navigating in, the transgender and the wokeist sphere. Do you understand why we are seeing more and more and more male invading and pretending to be female and going into the woman spaces and women's sport?
You know, I could say that it's because these aren't really transsexual people. These are people who have a fetish and who are misogynist and possibly even hate women, and they want to be women so bad that they're willing to just because the trans women I know would never do this. They just would not do this. So I think these are different kind of people than me, and I think that they're not necessarily actually transgender or transsexual people. I think that they want to do it out of this, it's misogyny, number one, and out of this power. It's a power trip, right? It's because I think the world is not waking up to this. This is a misogyny. I keep saying it. There's no other way to put it. It's actual misogyny. And I see it happening. It's as if nobody cares again about women and women's spaces. And women's sports means a lot to me. As a female, I ran. I was a runner. I was very attached to sports. It did a lot for me as a young woman and a young girl. And I think it's important that we keep those spaces, you know, for females. You know, maybe if Iman was a little girl and she wanted to play and all that, that's fine. But we're now talking about Olympics. These women work hard to get to that space. And it's just not fair that we're letting. And if it didn't matter, why are they testing? Why did the IBA test them if it didn't matter? It matters. Is everybody have their head in the sand? And, you know, to the people out there who are supporting this decision, I need you to sit back for a minute and I need you to really think, why are you doing that? And what do you think will come from this? Because I'll tell you what, you're not helping the situation. If people would just stop supporting this and say, you're right, this isn't right. We need to understand X, Y, and XX, and we need to keep that. You know, the Olympic Committee used to test X, Y, right? They used to do the cheek swab and do these, and they stopped doing that. Now they just go by your identification, which is, like I said, my identification says male. I'm not a man. I just live that way and walk the world that way. But, you know, that's the thing is, I guess you have to trust people like me, that we're not going to sort of abuse I feel like it's a gift. It's a gift to live this way. And I think you have to trust us that we're not going to abuse the gift that you have given us on some level. And I think these people are abusing something that we have worked very hard to get and to be part of the world.
My question is, we used to have so much feminists who fight for so long for the women's right. Suddenly, the feminists are not there anymore. What are you made of that?
They're not feminists. That's what I say. There's something else. They're literally something else. I think over the years, you know, this new queer theory and this feminist stuff and all of this has just been invaded in a younger generation.
Don't forget to go to transmadness.com. On this website, we have a special petition to stop this trans madness, transanity that is happening across the Western world. We can see men using the transgender card to invade women's spaces in sport. We need to stop this. Go over transmadness.com and sign our petition right now and share it.